Janine, for me, is the weakest number on the Space Oddity album, at least musically. I never paid much attention to it, but like all other tracks on that album, once I delved into it, I was surprised to discover how much it preempts Bowie's later work, particularly one record. Almost everything that I thought began with changes, I now realize is already contained in this little ditty. And even more disturbingly for me, Janine seems to be addressing people like me, people who attempt to analyze Bowie's work. As a Bowie interpreter, then, I must heed what it is saying. The Space Oddity album belongs in many ways to the singer-songwriter genre, which emerged in the late 60s as part of the counterculture's attempt to overthrow the so-called fake world of pop music. So, rather than having songwriters writing songs from the so-called objective point of view, and then handing them to professional singers to perform, songwriters were now expected to write songs about their personal feelings and experiences and perform them themselves, bearing their soul. The underlying notion was that if people would be honest with one another and show themselves for what they really are, a better world would transpire. Some of the tracks on Space Oddity live up to this confessional ideal, especially Letter to Hermione. But then comes Janine, and undermines the very foundations which the whole singer-songwriter concept is built upon.
Oh my love, Janine, I'm helpless for your smile. Like a foolish wanderer, I travel ever onwards to your land. And were it not just for the jewels, I'd close your hand.
The singer has fallen for a woman named Janine, and wants to get to know her better. The process of getting to know her is giving him pleasure, as every human being is like a vast land, full of secrets and mysteries. It is a process that never ends, and he doesn't want it to end.
With your strange demand to collocate my mind, scares me into gloom, you're too intense, I'll have to keep you in your place. I've no defense, I've got to keep my veil on my face.
Janine, he finds out, wants to know him better as well, but she has a different idea of what it means to know someone. She is not about the never-ending process of exploration, but wants to know him all the way, to figure him out completely. And this frightens him. He doesn't want to expose himself in that manner, to be completely known. So he evades her, and keeps her at arm's length.
Janine, you'd like to know me well, but I've got things inside my head that even I can't face.
While Janine believes that we can and should be completely transparent to one another, he believes that we are not even transparent to ourselves. A human is not a simple being but a very complex one, and there are parts of himself which even he can't face, because they are too scary. Of course, there is no way he is going to let her bring these parts of him out in the open.
Janine, you'd like to cross the walls, but if you take an axe to me, you'll kill another man, not me at all.
Janine holds a simple, two-dimensional picture of what human beings are like. They have an outer mask, which they show to the rest of the world, and an inner self. This is a traditional and old view, and part of it is the belief that while the mask is constantly changing, the inner self remains the same and is therefore the true essence of who you are, your real self. So she believes that if she can break through the mask, she will get to his inner self and see him as he really is. But he, once again, warns her that he isn't that simple. I think what Bowie is trying to say is this: there is no part of him that is constant, no part that is the true self. Therefore, there is also no part of him which you can define as fake, as merely a mask. Everything in his being is part of who he is. Everything is subject to change, and everything masks everything else. So if she tries to remove what she believes to be his mask, she will only kill a part of him, and once that part of him is gone, he will become someone else. And so, she will never be able to get any closer to figuring him out.
Your faith, Janine, a trooper to the last. But if I catch you standing on my toes, I'll have the right to shout you down. Before your lazy streaming on which my thoughts were drowned.
After explaining to her what he is like, he tells her that she is the same. He describes her as fey and a tripper, which suggests that she too is ever-changing and cannot be defined. However, she changes in a slower pace than him. She is a lazy stream compared to his torrential spirit. Therefore, if they try to move together, she will only slow him down.
So stay, Janine, and we can glide along. I've caught your wings, perhaps I'm not obliged to read the statements of the year. So take your glasses off and don't act so sincere.
So the soul fusion, which is Janine's ideal, cannot work. There is no soul to fuse. That is, there is no constant part of their being which, once they manage to connect, will remain connected. Both of them will keep on changing, so the connection will be severed. And they cannot hope to remain connected by synchronizing their changes either, because they move at a different pace. He tells her to forget about it, and lighten up. They can't fuse their souls, but they can have fun for as long as their connection lasts. Soul fusion is also what the hippies were after, and the idea behind the singer-songwriter concept. You are required to bare your soul, so that your souls could connect and become as one. Janine represents this hippie mindset, and by evading her advances, Bowie is snubbing this entire worldview. From now on, he will remain elusive, and there will be no more letter to Hermione type of confessions in his repertoire. And since he cannot face the things inside his head, he will dress them up in costumes when he drags them out of his subconscious, and deal with them on a symbolic, theatrical level. Janine, like most other tracks on the Space Oddity album, is a crystal ball that shows us what the 70s would be like for Bowie. But what does it say to the interpreter who attempts to analyze these costumes and masks and find their meaning? Or even go beyond them, and try to uncover the man behind the mask? Well, it tells us not to do it with an axe, and not to expect to find any solid answers. Bowie's art is ever-changing, full of mysteries that cloak other mysteries, and open to many interpretations. There is, I believe, a main story, a quest which Bowie has undergone, and that quest is the thing that attracted me to begin this project of analyzing his work. But as I write this, I do not know where it will lead me. Like a wanderer, I must travel ever onward into the land of Bowie's art, on an endless, fantastic voyage. You are invited to come along. But if you want to start the voyage, we will have to start from the beginning. Meaning, go back further, even before Space Oddity, to a period most people tend to skip when talking about David Bowie. Our journey begins here.